Hello, this is Dawn. Welcome to the Spiritual View. And today I want to go over three of the asteroid goddesses or dwarf planets that are currently having a very large effect and message for the collective as we are looking at Uranus entering Gemini. Now, to start with, Gemini is about learning new things, technology, communication, curiosity. And Uranus is very innovative, very fast moving, quick thinking, unexpected. So many of the things that we're going to be learning about is how to use new technologies, what is going to be coming up, the invention of new things. Also, Gemini is very social. So this is very much media as well. So it can be very much about freedom of speech. That is Uranus having freedom. So Hecate, Sedna, and Haumea are showing up very strongly in this Uranus energy and will be for the next several years. So I want to first talk about what they're either an asteroid or they are a dwarf planet. I wanted to discuss what the meanings are and a little bit of their story, and then we'll take a look at the charts and show exactly how they're showing up. So we are going to first look at Hecate. And Hecate, here we go. She is an ancient goddess. She has been around since before Zeus had his pantheon established. She was there before the Titans were there. And when the Titans were defeated by Zeus, she maintained all of her power. So she is more ancient. She is more powerful. She has special privileges for air, earth, and water, and access to the underworld, the earth, and the sky. It's interesting that Zeus, when he took power, he divided up the different elements, and Neptune took the oceans, Zeus took the air, and Hades or Pluto took the underworld. She has access to all three. She lost none of those powers. She has, it's like her power isn't questioned, that she can move amongst any of those areas. So she's also considered a goddess of the crossroads. She is the torchbearer. She lights the way and is the keeper of keys, which is signifying the fact that she can unlock any door. And one of the things I find with Hecate, I use asteroids in my personal chart readings. And I think that is one of the charts, one of the asteroids that should always be included is, where is Hecate in your natal chart? And where is Hecate transiting, and what personal planets is she hitting for you in what house? Because a lot of times you'll be at a crossroads and Hecate magically shows up there or is in a position to kind of give you some guidance as to maybe a direction that you can be looking at. So I always include Hecate when I'm looking at natal charts. So we have the next goddess, and she is Sedna. This is the goddess of the deep ocean and transformation. She rebelled against the rules of society. She was told that she had to marry. She was forced into a marriage. She was betrayed by the divine masculine. Her husband / father both betrayed her. And the story, which is important to tell because not a lot of people are aware, she was an Inuit goddess of the deep oceans. Part of what we're going to be manifesting is very much the energy of the new things that are coming out from water. And her being in this energy with Neptune and Saturn is very interesting because she has power. She does not move very fast. She actually has an 11,400 year orbit. When she is traveling out in the Taurus area of the chart, rather in the Scorpio area of the chart, because she was discovered in Taurus. that takes 1,000 years to get through Scorpio, right? So she is now coming back to the closest that she has been since 9,000 BC to the Earth. I have her placed in my natal chart at 28 degrees of Aries, which is actually in a trine to my 28-degree Uranus in Leo. So that energy, because it's something that is so specific and such a close orb, an exact orb, that is something that says that, okay, there is a definite connection there. And sometimes that can be activated when I have a personal planet making a connection with one of those two planets. She is going to be at her closest to the Earth in 2076, when she just happens to be in the sign of Cancer, a water sign. She has just entered Gemini. She will be in Gemini till about 2065. So she will be at about 7 or 8 degrees of Cancer when she's at her closest to the Earth. This is very interesting energy. So in her story, she was forced to marry. She went to her husband's home. She was beaten. She was abused. She was starved. And finally, her father, even though he had forced her into this marriage, he realized that, okay, I'm not getting the benefit of this marriage. So he went to go get her. And there are many different versions of the story, but I'm going to go with most of the common elements. He was taking her back in a boat, and there was a terrible, terrible storm that came up. And he was afraid the boat would capsize, so he threw her overboard. And she tried to get back in the boat. And then he cut off her fingers so she could not hang on. So she was left in the water, realizing that there was no safety for her. There was no rescue coming. There was no help. And she chose to swim deeper into the ocean. And that is when she became a goddess. And her fingers became the sea creatures, which very often relates to whales and seals and dolphins. So she transformed through her own choice. And she is going to be bringing in ancient memory, ancient technologies. I believe that there's a lot of things that are related to the water that are going to be discovered, because we will have Uranus conjunct Sedna for quite a bit of time in the next year or two. So we have that energy, and she will also be in trine energy or connected with Pluto for much of that energy going forward. So let's take a look at the very next goddess. This is Haumea. She is a creation goddess. She is a regenerative goddess, and she could make herself appear younger. And part of, I think, what she's going to be bringing in is the ability for us to live a bit longer, because we will be able to heal in such a way that we will be in a healthier mode, and then we will be able to live longer. She is able to heal the land. She is able to produce abundance. She is the goddess of creation and childbirth, the mother of Pele and the Hawaiian Islands, creator of new lands. So a lot of this energy that we think of as the volcanic activity, that going on is very much that energy. And Haumea is currently in Scorpio, another water sign. Very interesting that we have Haumea in Scorpio, and we have Sedna in Gemini, and she's of the water, and Haumea is more of the land. So you can see where there's a lot of water energy. And that's why I think especially there are going to be things related to water. Do I think that we're going to have storms? Yes. Do I think that we're going to have tsunamis related to volcanoes? Yes, I do. I think that there's other energies out there that are playing out. And I think sometimes when we might have a Mars transit going through some of that, we will have acts of war upon the water, blockades, things like that are going to be happening. But all of this energy is staying put. And I think that's what we need to pay attention to. So I'm going to come out of this particular area and stop that share. Okay, good. So I wanted to also look at the charts because I feel it's very important for us to see the connection. Now we have what the goddesses mean, or some of their meaning, because they're very multi-level, as anything is in astrology with mythology. So let's take a look at the energy of July 4th. Okay. There we go. This is July 4th, 2025. Now, I'm going to be pointing out some things in this area of the chart. The first thing I really want to point out, because it's related to the asteroid goddesses, is this yod, this finger of God. Down here, we have Haumea at 1 degree and Hecate at 1 degree. It's interesting, the moon also happens to be here, but Hecate and Haumea, they are at 1 degree of Scorpio. Now, Haumea takes about 500 years to go around in her orbit, so twice as long as Pluto. She is currently in a square with Pluto. So transformative, let me repeat that again. Transformative energy is necessary. We have Saturn and Neptune at 1 and 2 degrees. Now, remember, these are both going to be going back into Pisces, a water sign. Saturn will go all the way back to 25 degrees and Neptune will go back to 29. So again, it's staying in this energy in this area, and they will then be returning back to Aries, and they're still in this energy of this yod. We have Uranus on this day is in a conjunction with Venus, and Venus plays a very prominent role in this. Venus conjunct Uranus in Venus's sign. And then on this same day, on July 4th, Venus will move into Gemini. The interesting part of that is this same interaction is going to be happening in April. The same happens. Venus and Uranus are conjunct at 29 degrees. And when Uranus enters Gemini, Venus will be at 2 degrees both times. So we are going to have a repeat of the energy that we are currently experiencing now, and think of what those planets signify. What is going on? It's very interesting. We do have that Venus-Uranus energy very tied in to the entrance of Uranus into Gemini. And anytime a planet enters a new sign, especially for a long transit, it is very significant. And the fact that both of the times that it enters Gemini, Venus is there. Repeating, it just blows my mind that it again will be at 20, there'll be a 29 degree conjunction, and then there's going to be Venus at 2 degrees when Uranus enters in. So I just find that very fascinating. And that really brings into play Sedna right here. Sedna will be in between Uranus and Venus when Uranus enters, both times. It will be in a conjunction with Uranus back and forth for the next several years, because we're going to be having Uranus trining Pluto. I know that Pluto and Sedna actually will have exact trines about 9 times. I believe Uranus and Pluto actually have exact trines 6 times. The first one will be in July of 2026 at 4 degrees of their respective signs. So very strong energy, very strong innovation. We're talking Pluto having something to say about this. Transformative energy in air signs, very quick, very fast moving energy. So this is the yod that's happening. And don't forget, Neptune is going to be very involved. Saturn will be moving on, but Neptune is still going to be in this area for a while, because it takes Neptune about 14 years to go through a sign. And it will be having its retrograde back to 29 degrees of Pisces. So it's going to be in a sextile with both Sedna and Uranus. Very, very interesting, especially since this is the time that it will be finishing up whatever it needs to in the Pisces area of your chart, especially if you have any personal planets in those locations. So this is the 4th of July, which sets up the next chart, which is July 7th. And what do we have? We have Hecate at 0, Sedna at 1. We have Pluto at 3. So there is a trine happening immediately as Uranus enters Gemini, the 2 air signs. So very strong thought process. And you have to remember, Uranus is also the innovation of things happening. And in modern day astrology is a co-ruler of Uranus, of Aquarius. So very much that energy of way out there thinking, growing by leaps and bounds. In 2 to 3 years, we are going to be completely surprised by where we are as far as the new innovations and new technologies are. So this is the energy that we have. The really beautiful thing that we have also going on, and will continue for quite a while as well, is this small grand trine, this triangle. To me, this is what's supporting humanity in the next couple of years. So take heart. We do have a very strong support. And this is trine energy, and this is the sextile. A lot of these will be sextile to Neptune. Currently, Neptune and Saturn. And we also have this energy of Uranus and Sedna, sextile here. What else do we have going on? We still have Hecate and Haumea both at 1 degree. So what happens to be at 1 degree? This is where the finger of God is pointing. 1 degree of Saturn, Neptune is right there, and 1 degree of Sedna, and Uranus is right there. That yod is still in effect when Uranus enters into Gemini. So I think that is important to note. This is a very fascinating chart. One of the things that I find a little bit disconcerting is this Uranus-Saturn connection, the Uranus-Mars connection. But that is for different times. And we do have the energy of the Uranus return in the United States natal chart, which is in the 7th house, and Mars and Uranus have a conjunction in the 7th house. So that's war with open enemies, and was activated during the Civil War and was activated during World War II. when we joined the war, not when it was started over in Europe, but when the United States joined the war. So it's important to make note of the different things that are going to be going on. When you have a transit as long as this, um, it will cover multiple areas and interact with all the other planets that are moving around much more quickly than Uranus at moving 7 years in one sign. But what I feel is because Uranus is going to be here for at least the next several years in this trine energy with Pluto, and Sedna is remaining there. Again, she's not going to be moving very fast. And because of that, she is going to get the benefit of that trine from Pluto. She's also going to get the benefit of the sextile from Neptune and Saturn. She's still going to be in this very interesting connection. They are in conjunct each other. So it's like the energy of, to me, I think they're trying to accomplish something together. And it's like when someone is a songwriter, it's like they're trying to perfect what's going on. Or if they're an athlete, they're trying to get a better time. A lot of time they'll be in conjunctions and those charts for that person because they're always striving for a better outcome. And I think that's what they're doing here. It's interesting that we have Haumea in a water sign. Hecate is right there with her. And we have Sedna in an air sign, but she's very much about the water. Very much about the water. So I think there's lots of technologies that are going to be coming out in relation to water energy. And I would be very unsurprised to have that happen when Saturn is actually back in Pisces and Neptune as well, back in Pisces, because then you'll have that very much innovative energy, and Saturn will be going back to the degree of one of the eclipses, 25 degrees of Pisces. And then we can breathe a sigh of relief that all of the energies will have played out from that particular, I believe that eclipse energy, because it's been relit time and time again, reactivated. So I think that's what's going to be going on with that energy. So let's take a look then at the next chart. This is, let me bring that back in. There. This is Uranus entering Gemini. And this is April 25th, 2026. Now, I did add the transits of April 24th because I did want you to see that this is that conjunction of Venus and Uranus again, right before Uranus enters into Gemini again. And what is going on here? We have Pluto is at 5 degrees. Uranus entering in is at 0, but Uranus is going to be moving very quickly because between April 25th and July 18th, Uranus will move all the way to 4 degrees of Gemini. And where's Sedna? Very close by, right? So we do have the energy coming up. And where is Hecate? Hecate, who was recently with Haumea, is now in Aquarius. I think that the energy of Haumea is going to be brought forward as Hecate moves forward. And so we are going to have amazing, amazing innovations happening, especially since Hecate is crossroads, that crossroads energy as it's entering Gemini. With all of this, especially it's going to be conjunct Pluto, it's going to be moving on from there. And it's going to also go into a conjunction. It's actually close enough for conjunction with Chericlo about healing from sound, healing from maybe old technologies that were brought forward that we've rediscovered. That is what these goddesses can bring forward for us, these asteroids / dwarf planets. I do want to change this briefly. I will finish up here shortly, but I wanted you to see what it looks like when we have, let me add a chart here. Event. I remember this date very well. Why? Because it happens to be my birthday, of course. So, of course it would be. Okay. I have Uranus is very, very active in my chart. I'm currently going through a Uranus square. So Uranus is speaking very loudly to me, very, very loudly. And it's, I believe, in the very early hours or late on the 17th that we have this energy. And let me put this in. Okay. Ta-da, show the chart. Look at this energy. Pluto at 4 degrees. Oh, I did manage to get it. I did manage to get the exact time. Okay, so Pluto is at 4 degrees. Uranus is at 4 degrees. Sedna is at 2 degrees. Okay, so that is the trine that's happening. And we do have Sedna close enough for that conjunction. Guess what else is at 4 degrees? Neptune. Very interesting. We also have Haumea still here at 2 degrees, and we have Karma nearby. Very funny. So as you can see, this is going to be happening quite often, this trine energy. They will also trine again. I believe it's in 2027 at 6 degrees in Aquarius and in Gemini. So that is another very powerful trine. But they actually trine, I believe it's 6 times total between their retrogrades. So it'll be interesting to see what different energies we get when one of them is retrograde or when they're both direct. So it's something that we'll have to read into the charts when we're looking. And I think that is important for us to take advantage of, because I feel like we still are getting all of this innovative energy. Neptune is at 4. Uranus is at 4. And Pluto is at 4. This is the support that we are getting for the collective. Innovation. Again, with this water energy. Sedna, Neptune, right? And Haumea is still in Scorpio. Still in playing a part with this energy, because if you consider that these are in sextile, they're pointing at Haumea. We still have that active yod going on, pointing at Haumea and revitalizing the earth. This is such fantastic hope for the future. And I feel like it's coming with the information from divine feminine energies, just by looking at the asteroids and the dwarf planets. So I think I will finish there. I will stop sharing. I will go back to the screen. And I hope that you will have a chance to absorb this information. And if you do have some questions regarding this, drop them down in the comments of what you might have a question on. I am more than happy to do any further research. It's been fascinating to be doing it thus far. So please comment, please like, please share, and realize that divine feminine energy is going to be a big part of the solution for all of the chaos that is going on. I am a convinced believer in this. So thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon.